When the fine people at TEDx came up to me asking me to speak to a bunch of lovely people, I was very, very excited. But just like most writers, when I had a sheet of paper in front of me, I faced writer's block. I started imagining all the things that could go wrong at this event. The first thing that came to my mind was, I could be suffering from diarrhea right now and not be at the event at all. I could have broken a leg and not made it up to this floor. I could have, maybe the mic would have stopped working, but the worst nightmare of all, which made me break into a sweat, was the fact that I couldn't find my voice. Just try and remember one occasion from the last 7 days when you really, really wanted to say something to somebody but couldn't because your voice was stuck here, or maybe even here. There are a lot of times in our lives when we really want to say something but we don't find the voice for it because we are scared of being rejected. It's so easy to not get into a confrontation, or we just want to have the company of our friends. I grew up an only child in Bombay and tried very, very hard to make friends wherever I went to study or work, which means I said yes to a lot of things that I didn't want to. But finally, when I was 26 years old and I decided to take off all these layers and layers of fabric which I had developed over the years, I found it very, very difficult to do. Finding your own voice is like taking a citizen from Iceland and putting him right in the middle of sweltering Delhi summers. Imagine the layers of clothes that he has to take off. But I believe poetry gives me the power to write and take off those layers of clothing. When I write on paper, I literally let myself bleed. I let myself bleed so much that it makes me realize what caused the injury in the first place. And then the paper gives me the space to actually write out my own diagnosis and my own treatment. I write primarily because I want to be heard, because in the rut of being an ideal student, a popular friend, a great employee at my company, I seem to be doing all of these roles perfectly well and saying head nods to a lot of things that I don't want to. Quick question. How many times did you press the like button on Facebook today? 5, 6, 7. On an average, Facebook receives 50 million likes every single day from people like you and me. What is the value of this like? Is like mild agreement, a passive head nod, or just conditioning because you had to press the button because your friends did or your family did? When I was really young, my father taught me this game. We used to pick a really popular Bollywood song from Kuch Kuch Hota Hai or Rangila or any such film. We used to start singing it right from the hook to the chorus to the stanza, and then my father used to challenge me to write 2 more paragraphs to that song. So every time we go back to that song and we sing it together, it ends very, very differently from how it ends in the film. This is the power of poetry. Poetry allows you to believe that you can change the course of events that make you feel uncomfortable and even make them end on a completely different note. But a lot of times people believe that poetry is not for me. It is something that needs to be written with rhyme and beauty and structure and form. I disagree with that. Because poetry only comes from real life. And real life is anything but full of rhyme and beauty. Real life is noisy and it often throws you off. And the only raw material that you need to write a good poem is your own living story. So I encourage you with this small talk to pick up that paper or your laptop screens and start writing your life story in the form of a poem without any restrictions. I did that recently and this is my story. This is not a poem on feminism because being seen as, pretending to be with a feminist itself has been reduced by our society as a fashion statement. This is a piece called Validation. My body is a brand called Validation. At the back of my neck is a barcode tattooed as a symbol of the product I have become. From head to toe and toe to head, a part of me and every part of me has sought validation at some point of time. My eyes to begin with. I started wearing contact lenses and gave up my thick-rimmed glasses because when I was 8 years old, I heard my grandfather speaking in another room that nobody marries a girl who wears a chashma. I started wearing a nose ring in college to dispel the truth that I was not just a studious geek who you borrow notes from. And I do this exercise 50 million times every single day because Cosmo told me it's the only way I can get rid of that ugly double chin. These little babies that you cannot see have been pushed and prodded so hard at social occasions to stand out, padded and cushioned yet screaming to be liked, to be loved. On top of that, I'm guilty of wearing graphic t-shirts to concerts where I don't even know the names of the bands performing. I am guilty of wearing kurtas and carrying jholas full of name-dropping pennies to obscure film festivals as far as Scotland. So desperate was I to get inside the middle of a circle that after feeding on a staple diet of Bollywood for 21 long years, I decided to lay open my senses to names I don't understand and still can't correctly pronounce. Floyd, Scorsese, Godard, Farhadi, Nolan, Kundera, Dostoevsky, they all came along. They all came along to help me make friends under the holy trinity of books, movies, and music. I have let so many moments and memories pass me by because I was busy holding a DSLR to sunsets. I have taken so many selfies in my life because I always want to show myself in the best light. But all of this is superficial still. Dig deep. Dig deeper and spiral deeper until you realize that the need to be alone, the fear of being alone, makes you give 100 reluctant blowjobs and you realize that these hands and this mouth can keep 100 dirty secrets. Until you realize that your hips have been suffocating within drain pipes of denim, sculpting your bottom to a most rounded stereotype. I have tried so hard to fit in, fit out, fit in, fringed out, fit back in and fit out. This mad drill, this excessive workout has reduced me to feeling like a mannequin that sits pretty at that shop window with its monotonous smile saying, pick me, pick me, pick me. But it's closing hours now. And within these lensed eyes and this dolled up body is a small voice trying to find its own words. This poem is also validation against validation. Thank you.